Hi, I'm Jennifer of Celtic Knot Crochet, and today in this video I'm going to be showing you how to crochet the pumpkin pie garland. This is an easy project and uses a small amount of supplies. I'll show you all there is you need to know about the supplies, the stitches, and how to put everything together. The garland consists of 5 pieces like this, but of course you can make more if you like. If you like this project, don't forget to give us a thumbs up and click to subscribe so you can see more tutorials like this. Let's get started. To make the pumpkin pie garland, you will need 1 skein of orange velvet yarn. This is a bulky yarn. You'll also need 1 skein of some tan yarn. And this you'll see is a little bit thinner, but that's okay, it works out just fine. So you want 1 orange, 1 tan. You'll want a size K 6.5 millimeter crochet hook. This one is from Clover, has a great end here for sliding through the yarn. You'll also need a Clover small pom-pom maker. This is a 35 millimeter pom-pom maker, or 1 3/8 inches. To make the pom-poms, you'll want a small amount of medium weight white acrylic yarn. Anything from your stash would work. The white shows really nice up against the pumpkin orange color. You'll also need a jumbo tapestry needle and some sharp scissors for creating the pom-pom. And I found these were very helpful. These are Wonder Clips from Clover. These help you organize the pumpkin pie pieces into the final garland so you can put them where you want them and make sure they're all even. Remember, all of these supplies are listed in the description below with links of where to get them and with more details about each one. To crochet the pumpkin pie piece, we're going to be starting at the bottom and increasing or adding stitches as we go up to make the triangle. And then at the top, we'll actually take away a few stitches. Then we'll add the crust, and then we'll sew on the pom-pom. So you'll want to put your slip knot on your hook, and you're going to chain 2, and then you're going to work a single crochet in the second chain from the hook. And that's row 1 already. Then you're going to want to chain 1 and turn your work. Now sometimes people have a hard time seeing their stitches with the velvet yarn. So I recommend that you do a lot by feel with your non-working hand, and you can also turn your work and look down from above. And now I can see those V's that make up my stitches. So this one is the chain I just made, and this is the single crochet. So for row 2, I'm going to insert my hook into this stitch. Now normally we would go under both loops. You see right here, we're going under both loops. But I want to do what I'm calling a hidden single crochet or a hidden increase. So instead of putting 2 single crochets in this hole of the stitch and making this hole even bigger, I'm going to first put my hook under the back loop only, yarn over, pull through the stitch, yarn over, pull through 2. So I just completed 1 single crochet. Now I'm going to insert my hook under both loops, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. And that prevents that giant hole from happening because we put the first one in the back loop and the second one through both loops. Just a little trick to help your project look nicer. So that's row 2, chain 1, and now we turn. Now we're going to work 2 single crochets in each stitch across, and we're going to do the same method of the hidden increase. So here's our chain 1, we're going to skip that, we're going to put our hook into that back loop, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Now I'm going to find that stitch, I can feel it right here, And I'm going to put my hook under both loops. Yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. And I'll do that every time I'm doing 2 single crochets in 1 stitch. I'm going to do this hidden increase. So here are my 2 loops. You can see them right there. I'm going to insert my hook under the back loop, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Now I can feel with my hand and I can see the front loop right here. And I'll put my hook under both loops, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. So now I should have 4 single crochets in this row, row 3. Now I'm going to chain 1, turn again. Now for row 4, I'm going to single crochet in each stitch across, no increasing. Put my hook in, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Remember, you can feel the stitches. I can feel the gap right here underneath the top of that single crochet, and that helps me know where to put my hook. But I can also look from the top, and I can see those 2 loops right there, and I put my hook right underneath them. See, those are the 2 loops right here, and complete the single crochet. So that is row 4. And by doing the hidden single crochet, we don't have a lot of gaps in here. Now row 5, chain 1, turn again. Now we're going to do 2 single crochets in the first stitch and 2 in the last, and then just regular single crochet across the middle. And we'll repeat that for several rows, alternating every other row. So let's do a hidden increase. Hook into the back loop, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, hook through both loops. That's my increase. So I have 2 single crochets at the beginning. Now I'm going to do 1 in this one and 1 in this one. Now here's my last stitch of the row. So I'm going to put my hook into the back loop only, and then through both loops. And that completes row 5. You can see it's already turning into a nice little triangle. So row 6, we're going to repeat row 4, which is putting a single crochet just in each stitch all the way across. So I did a chain 1, and now I put my hook under both loops and work single crochet all the way across. Like so. Then I chain 1 and turn. Now I'm ready for row 7. Row 7 is an increase row, so we're going to put 2 in the first stitch and 2 in the last, and then single crochet across the stitches in the middle. So, hidden increase again. Here are my 2 loops. Put my hook under the back one, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, then hook under both loops. Now regular single crochet across, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now my last stitch, hook into the back loop, and then hook under both loops. And that is row 7. So now we chain 1 and turn. We're on row 8, and we're going to repeat row 4 again, which is single crochet under both loops all the way across. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So now I have 8 single crochets across the row. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now, if yours don't match up exactly, as long as your shape is looking like a triangle, it's okay. So if you're off 1 or 2 stitches, just keep doing your best to do the increases at the end every other row, and then 1 stitch across every other row. So now we are on row 9, chain 1, turn, and we're going to do it again. 2 in the first stitch, 2 in the last stitch, single crochet across 6 in the middle. So put my hook into that back loop, then hook under both, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Last stitch, hook into the back loop, and hook under both loops. That's row 9 completed. Row 10, we're repeating row 4 again, which is 1 stitch in each single crochet across. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And there we've completed row 10. Now we've completed all of the increases, and we're actually going to start decreasing just a little bit for the top of the pie piece. So you want to chain 1, turn, and we're going to skip this first stitch. And we're going to work a single crochet in each of the next 8 stitches, leaving the last one empty, just like we're leaving the first one empty. So I chained 1, going to skip this one, and I'm going to put a single crochet in that next stitch. Now what I want to do before I move on too far is I'm going to mark this stitch right here, the chain 1, with a stitch marker. Or if you don't have one, you could use one of the Wonder Clips. This is so I can find my stitch later when I go to add on the crust edging. So now I'm doing 8 single crochets across, just 1 and 1, nothing fancy here. You can see I have 2 stitches left. Now when I get to the end, I'm going to chain 1 and slip stitch in that last stitch. And here's that chain 1, and I'm going to put another stitch marker marking this other side of the row. So now I remember that this is row 11, where I have a slip stitch and a chain 1 here. So a chain 1 with a slip stitch here. So that completes row 11. Now we're going to do row 12, but first we're going to cut, fasten off, and we're going to join again. So I'm going to put a new slip knot on my hook. Here I have that chain 1 space marked with the stitch marker, and I know I'm going to go right into that first stitch next to it with a slip stitch, yarn over, pull through everything, and then I'm going to work a single crochet in the next 6 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've done my 6 single crochets across row 12, and now I'm going to put a slip stitch here in the next stitch, and I'm going to work all the way around the whole triangle up until this stitch marker here, with a slip stitch edging, and that gives you this nice finished edging. So if you see the two, you could stop there if you like, but see how this is all jagged, and on this one it's nice and smooth with like a braided edge. I just went around with a slip stitch. Let's do the slip stitch around the whole project. Sometimes you have to put a chain one before you start, or at different parts of the project. So I just put my hook into a loop and pull through. And I'm going to keep that stitch marker there for now because it's going to help me later. Put my hook into a loop, yarn over, pull through the loop, and through the loop on my hook, through the loop on the project. And I'll continue like that around. So see here, I'm going around a little bend, so I'll add a chain one. I don't want my pumpkin pie piece curling up on me, but I don't need to put a chain one all the time. And I'm trying to work these loosely. I just find a loop hanging out here on the edge. And you can see how that finishes off the side of the pumpkin pie piece. So continue that all the way around until you get to the other stitch marker on the other side, and then you can fasten off the orange velvet yarn. Here I am coming up on that second stitch marker, and I'll just put my hook into that same stitch and fasten off. And I've gone around and have this nice clean edge now on my project. Your triangle should be about 5 inches long, and your maximum width is about 4 inches at this stage. Now we're ready to make the pie crust edging. This is just 2 rows right here with the tan yarn. The tan yarn that I found actually has a little sparkle to it, which I think adds just some more fun to the project. Now I am going to join right where that stitch marker is. So that's why we put it there, because sometimes it's hard to see where your rows begin and end with the velvet yarn. So I'll just put my hook in, yarn over, pull up a loop, 2 loops on my hook, yarn over, pull through 2, and that is a join with single crochet. Now I'm going to work around the top of this pumpkin pie piece. So I'm going to single crochet in the next stitch, and one after that. So I have 1, 2, 3. Next I'm going to put 2 single crochets in the next one, and I don't have to do the hidden single crochet for this. Then I'm going to single crochet in the next 3. 1, 2, 3, and then I'm going to do 2 again in the next one. And then I'm going to do 1, 2, and I should be ending. See, here's my stitch marker lining up with this slip stitch, and put my last single crochet there to match up with the stitch marker. And I can take the stitch marker out now. Now I decided that I wanted these last 2 rows facing the right side, so you have to fasten off again. But if you don't mind, you can just turn and do the same thing across this way. So you will have an extra set of yarn tails to weave in. So last row here for the pumpkin pie piece, I put another slip knot on my hook, and I'm going to start here on the side, my first stitch, and I'm going to put my hook into the side of the stitch, yarn over and pull through everything. That's a slip stitch. And now I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to do a half double crochet in that same single crochet here. So a half double is yarn over, put my hook in, yarn over, pull up a loop. Now I have 3 loops on my hook, yarn over, pull through all 3. So I did a half double there, then I'm going to chain 1, and now I'm going to do a single crochet way down here. I'm not going to do it up here where the stitch top is. I'm going to go back into where this stitch was worked before. And actually it's not a single crochet, it'll be a slip stitch. So I'm going to put my hook down here, yarn over, pull through the stitch, and keep pulling through the loop on my hook. And that really helps this to pop and curl over. So I'll show you another one. You're just going to work that all the way across. So we're going to skip the stitch that's behind this one, and we're going to do a half double crochet in the next stitch, chain 1, and then we're going to, we just worked in this one, so we're going to put a slip stitch down over here in the base of the next stitch. So yarn over, hook in, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 3, half double crochet, chain 1, and then into my next stitch down here, I'm going to do a slip stitch. And I continue with that across to the last single crochet. So I'll show you one more time. We've already worked with this one, so we're going to put a half double crochet, yarn over, put my hook in, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 3, chain 1, and then we worked here, so we're going to this next stitch, slip stitch way down there. And you could see how that creates this nice little bumpy pumpkin pie edging. And I continue that across, half double crochet, chain 1, slip stitch. And when you get to the end, there'll be one more stitch. You do a half double crochet in there, chain 1, and then just like we did at the beginning, you'll put your slip stitch in the side of that last single crochet there. And you've created that fun crust edging. Then we fasten off. And now we're ready to do the pom-pom and weave in our ends, and then we'll attach it to the chain length so our garland will be finished. So you'll want to make at least 4 more of these. If you want to make a longer garland, go for it. Just make more pumpkin pie pieces. I highly recommend a jumbo tapestry needle to weave these ends in because the yarn is thicker than your medium weight. And I just make sure that I'm working in the back side of all these stitches. Pull the yarn tail through going one way, and then do that again coming back. And then I like to do it one more time. Again, random loops, not the same ones, or not all the same ones. A nice S pattern works well for your yarn tails. And then clip that off. Now you'll find that the velvet yarn likes to shed, but you can easily clean those up by picking them off and rolling a lint roller around your work area, and then you'll be all set. Now that you've completed the 5 pumpkin pie pieces for your garland, you'll want to make 5 pom-poms. In order to make the pom-poms, you'll want to use one of the pom-pom makers from Clover, and I'm using the smallest one right here, and it has on the back side it says 35. That means it makes 35 millimeter pom-poms, or 1 3/8 inch pom-pom. And then you'll want some sharp scissors and a small amount of acrylic medium weight white yarn. You don't want to use the velvet yarn for the pom-pom. It just won't work. They don't do well when cutting them. It just makes a bunch of fuzz everywhere and doesn't really even look like a nice pom-pom. So make sure you use just some yarn, white yarn from your stash, acrylic medium weight. And here's how you would make a pom-pom. The pom-pom maker has these arches here, and you want to open them up and wind around one side of the arch, making sure that you wrap like so, nice and even, and you keep these feet here on the bottom clear from any yarn. And I'm going to wrap it so it covers completely like so. So I went across once and then back, then across again. Then I'm going to close that arch in like this and make sure the yarn's coming through the 2 feet. And then I'm going to wrap the other arch in the same manner, making sure that the yarn is not covering the feet on the bottom. So cover everything over like so, and then one more time. So they're about the same thickness. Then I'm going to close that arch in and clip the yarn off. Next, you want to hold the pom-pom maker closed like so. You have the yarn wrapped on both of the arches, and you're going to put your scissors right between those feet and keep the arches closed down, and you're going to cut the yarn across that channel right there, flip it over, and you'll do the same thing on the other arch, right through that channel. Then you're going to take a piece of the matching yarn and feed it through the channel here. Have it come out the other side. So you've wrapped that piece of yarn around the pom-pom maker, and you want to tie a nice tight knot, as tight as you can, and then I always do another one. And then you're going to open up those arches on both sides. And now you pull apart the pom-pom maker, and you're left with this cute little pom-pom. And then you just use your sharp scissors to trim up any of the strands that are longer than the others. I leave these 2 on here, the ones that tied it all together, because I'm going to use those to tie it onto my pumpkin piece. And if you want your pumpkin even smaller, you can just continue to trim it, and that will make it smaller if you like that accent to be tinier. Now that my pom-pom's completed, I thread the yarn tails from putting the pom-pom together onto my jumbo tapestry needle. Then I thread the needle right through the center of the right side of my pumpkin pie piece, like so. And then I turn it over, and to secure it, I like to put my hook my needle through a couple stitches on the back side, pull it through, but hold that loop, and then put my needle back through that loop I just created, so I have a nice knot there. And then I might thread it through a couple more stitches like that, and through the knot again, so it's nice and secure on the front, like so. So when it hangs, it doesn't drop down. It's not going anywhere. And then, just like I would do with all my other yarn tails, I feed them through the backs of the stitches and then trim the excess. So now we're ready to put it all together into the pumpkin pie garland. Now we're ready to make the hanger that all the pumpkin pie pieces will be attached to. So first you want to take your pumpkin colored velvet yarn and chain until it measures 10 inches, and then you're going to go back to the very first chain and make a slip knot, a slip stitch. So you put your hook in, yarn over, pull through the chain and the loop on your hook, and that creates this hanging loop. Then you're going to continue to chain until the piece measures 32 inches. So just keep chaining, and you're going to measure from where you put that slip stitch, where the hanging loop ends, to the end of your chain, and you want that to be 32 inches. I've added the long chain to my project, and it measures 32 inches, and I'm going to put a stitch marker right here at the 32 inch mark. Then I'm going to chain another length, and this time it's going to measure 10 inches. And this is going to give me my second hanging loop for the right side of the garland. So from the stitch marker on, I just need a couple more chains, and there I have my 10 inches, and now I'll go back to the chain that the stitch marker is in, and I'll do another slip stitch, yarn over and pull through everything, and then I can cut the working yarn, pull it tight, remove the stitch marker, and now I have a long chain length with 2 hanging loops on the ends. So I'm going to weave these yarn tails in, and I'm going to start attaching the pumpkin pie pieces. To attach the pumpkin pie pieces to the garland, I'm going to use Clover's Wonder Clips. Here's a variety pack. They come in small, medium, and large. You can see here. And they work great for piecing together your projects without needing to use straight pins. They hold everything in place. So I folded my long chain in half, so that's a quick way to find the center. And then I'm going to take one of the pumpkin pie pieces and line that up the center of the pie piece and the center of the chain, and then use the Wonder Clips to hold it in place. This way you can test how it's hanging, see if you like it. I'm putting it just beyond the crust edging, and then that way I can use the orange pumpkin colored yarn and just whip stitch this chain to the pumpkin pie piece and it won't show at all. And it won't stretch out this tan crust edge. It'll help it to hang nicely. And then I would lay out the rest of my hanging chain like so, and lay the pumpkin pie pieces so they're evenly spaced across the chain. And again, I would use the Wonder Clips to hold it in place. Small ones are a little too small. And I'm putting the end of the last pumpkin pie piece on even with where I put that slip stitch to make the hanging loop. But you can make yours longer if you'd like to spread them out farther, or you want to make more pumpkin pie pieces, you can do that too. And then using a length of the velvet yarn on my jumbo tapestry needle, I would pick up a loop on the back of the pumpkin and tie a nice strong knot. Now, if you want to do this really fast, you could hot glue this to your pumpkins, but sometimes the hot glue comes through and shows on the front, and you don't want that. But if you're pressed for time, you could always do that. And just like that, I'd whip stitch it on there and make sure I go through both sides. I want it nice and secure. So I might do the lower side, then come up here. And I would do that on all of the pumpkin pie pieces so that when they hang, they look nice on my mantle and part of my Thanksgiving decor. So thanks for watching this video. Please give us a thumbs up and don't forget to click to subscribe. I hope you enjoyed making this Thanksgiving project. I love working with this velvet yarn. If you visit my blog or look in the description below, you'll see many more free patterns using velvet yarn. Happy crocheting!